Security number. They also had his name, address, and refund amount.
How did they get all that personal information? Who gave it to them?
The state of California turned over data for millions of Californians so the companies could issue the cards and mail them out. Scammer.
This thing is absolutely a bonfire. Who authorized this?
The Franchise Tax Board says debit cards are by far the fastest way to send money to millions of residents.
This is big news for Social Security. As the cost of living continues to grow for millions of seniors and families, a new group of lawmakers are proposing a bit more relief for Americans. This relief may either be a large one-time check or a smaller monthly relief payment. So make sure to continue watching because we go over the most important stimulus news that's very important for everybody. Amid record high inflation, stretching in Social Security benefit checks became more difficult in 2022, according to new research from the Senior Citizens League. Even as the 6% cost of living adjustment went into effect January, the record high annual benefit increase still fell very short, and that's not what we want to see this year. Our benefits fell short again by an average of $42 a month, or 46%. Over the course of the year, that added up to $508. Social Security's COLA is based on the CPI for urban wage earners and clerical workers. The annual change is calculated based on the index average for the third quarter, which is compared to the third quarter average for this previous year. The 6% annual increase for 2022 was the highest bump to benefits in 40 years, when it was announced on October 20th. In January, beneficiaries can expect to see an even higher increase. 8% will be the top last year's record. Yet, as inflation outpaced the COLA for 2022, households ages 65 and up find it more difficult to pay for everyday items. According to the Senior Citizens League, the fastest growing cost was home heating oil, which spiked 70% from October to October 22. It was followed by airfares, which climbed 42% in that time frame, flour and prepared mixes, which rose 25%, health insurance 20%, and natural gas another 20%. Other key categories that saw big price jumps include oil changes in coolant, canned fruits and vegetables, soaps, turkey, and pet food. Mary Johnson, the Social Security and Medicare policy analyst at the Senior Citizens League, said even the simplest of foods are hard for people to afford. She also stated that the low-income retirees who have spent down their retirement savings absorbing these higher costs are in a particularly tough situation. So, Medicare Part B also saw higher increases in 2022 for stimulus checks. So, with the standard premiums going up by 15% to $170 a month, these monthly premiums are typically directly deducted from Social Security checks. And as 2023 approaches, Social Security beneficiaries will be poised to see more of the record 9% increases that goes into effect, as standard Medicare Part B premiums decline by 3% to $165. The agency is currently sending statements to beneficiaries that includes the exact amounts of their increases for next year. So just how far the extra money goes next year will depend on how inflation fares in the next coming months. Yes, folks, in the next coming months, President Biden can do more for the American people and send out stimulus payments sooner than ever. Because even Nancy Pelosi is now rallying her fellow Democrats to back the bipartisan $1 trillion spending bill aimed at preventing a government shutdown. Pelosi rattled off a slew of liberal victories in a bill in a letter to Democrats as House Republicans move aggressively to torpedo the bill and hopes to gain more negotiating leverage when they retake the lower chamber in January. Republicans scored a few victories in negotiations this year, like cutting the IRS budget over $300 million, and the omnibus bill was intended to avert a government shutdown, which could take place at midnight Friday. But Kevin McCarthy, has opposed the spending bill and threatened to tank any legislation from Republican senators who back it should become Speaker. Mitch McConnell has left the door open to supporting the bill, and some senators like Lindsey McConnell say that it's a good idea for a stimulus to be sent out. So, I definitely agree with this, and I believe that President Biden should do more for the people and send out stimulus payments.
8 cents a gallon. It's over $4 a gallon in all 50 states. It's over $5 a gallon in New York, over $6 a gallon in California. 92% of Americans will tell you that they are very concerned about the high cost of gasoline. and the president was asked about it. He talked about it in Japan, and he called it an incredible transition. I want to make sure I had it. He called it an incredible transition. The incredible transition that's happening today with energy is we're going from being a nation that's energy dominant to energy dependent. We're going from a nation of prosperity to a nation of poverty. We're going from a nation of wealth to a nation of weakness. There are people hurting all around this country. We're at a 40-year high of inflation, highest gas prices ever, and families are running out of places where they can cut their spending. They're cutting out haircuts, they're cutting out movies, they're cutting out music lessons for the kids.
Good afternoon, everyone. I, like a lot of others, had a chance to be at home last week. Won't surprise you to know that everybody's concerned about inflation, food prices, gas prices, and without exception, every employer I ran into, whether it was a large business or a small business, was having difficulty getting people to come back to work. A real dilemma, and I think all of that is a result of the $2 trillion the other guys dumped on the economy last week against the advice.
Last month, the government reported America's employers added 428,000 jobs in April, leaving the unemployment rate at 3.6%, just above the lowest level in half a century. Hiring gains have also been consistent in the face of the worst inflation in 4 decades, with employers adding at least 400,000 jobs for 12 straight months. The government's May jobs report will be released tomorrow, with many expecting that 400,000 jobs added streak to be broken. This week, a separate government employment report said that the number of job openings across the economy went a little bit lower in April, but remains much higher. A big update on changes to Social Security, SSI and SSDI. The U.S. Treasury Department just released a brand new statement in regards to whether millions of Social Security recipients will see a benefit increase or a $1,400 stimulus check. According to an updated report published by the government earlier today, the Social Security Trust Fund that most Americans rely on for their retirement will be able to continue to pay out benefits on a timely basis until 2034. That is 1 year later than the Treasury Department estimated last year. This improved analysis, signed by Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen and Labor Secretary, projects that the government's disability insurance program will be able to pay full benefits over the next 75 years. This is the first time Social Security officials have issued such a rosy outlook since their 1983 report. Last year's report estimated that the Disability Insurance Trust Fund would be depleted in 2057. The department said that Medicare Part A will remain fully financed through 2028, 2 years later than previously expected. Yellen and Walsh expected and explained that the improved outlooks for the various funds are due to a faster and more robust economic recovery from the crisis. 2 White House officials wrote the main reasons for the small deficit are a stronger than expected recovery from the crisis-induced recession, higher expected levels of labor productivity, and lower future disability incidence rates that reflect recent experience. The Treasury Department looks after 2 Social Security funds, the Old Age and Survivors Insurance and